When history looks back at 2019, few political events will seem as visually dramatic, socially scrutinized, and diplomatically choreographed as the state visit of then U.S. President Donald J. Trump to the United Kingdom. The trip was billed as a moment of friendship between two great allies, but in reality, it became a spectacle where politics met pageantry, where global headlines fed on every handshake, every glance, and every carefully choreographed step. It was not just a visit, it was theater on an international stage, with the royal family as supporting characters, the British public as a divided audience, and Trump himself as the larger-than-life figure at center stage. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. In this feature, we'll revisit the highlights, controversies, symbolism, and sheer drama of Trump's 2019 state visit, unpacking what made it so unforgettable. The build-up, anticipation, and protests. Even before Air Force One touched down on British soil, the visit had become a lightning rod for debate. Supporters praised it as an opportunity to reaffirm this special relationship between Britain and America at a time when both nations were grappling with political upheaval, Brexit debates in the UK, and a polarized America under Trump's leadership. Opponents, however, saw the visit as a glorification of a president they considered deeply divisive. Protest organizers announced the return of the now famous Trump baby blimp, the inflatable caricature of Trump as a scowling, diaper-wearing infant. London prepared for protests that would echo across the globe, even as Buckingham Palace polished its silverware and prepared its ceremonial red carpets. The arrival, a gold-lined welcome. Trump arrived with a sense of grandeur befitting his self-image. From the moment he disembarked, cameras captured every movement. Standing alongside First Lady Melania Trump, who wore a navy ensemble and hat reminiscent of Jackie Kennedy's refined style, Trump was greeted with formal ceremony. The royal family, led by Queen Elizabeth II, extended all the pomp and circumstance of a full state visit, a rare honor granted to only a handful of world leaders each year. The Queen, ever the diplomat, welcomed Trump with dignity, despite murmurs in the press about how she privately viewed the outspoken U.S. president. At Buckingham Palace, a ceremonial guard of honor, complete with soldiers in bearskin hats and scarlet tunics, lined the grounds. Trump, standing tall but stiff, inspected the troops alongside Prince Charles. Critics noted that he appeared awkward, occasionally walking ahead of the prince in a breach of royal protocol, though the palace itself remained characteristically silent. The banquet, diamonds, tiara, and diplomacy. The centerpiece of the visit was the state banquet hosted at Buckingham Palace. The ballroom glowed with crystal chandeliers, long banquet tables adorned with gold candelabras, and the family's finest collection of silver and porcelain. Melania Trump stole the spotlight in a white Dior haute couture gown, paired with elbow-length gloves, evoking old Hollywood glamour. Across the table, Queen Elizabeth shimmered in white satin with the Burmese ruby tiara, each jewel a reminder of Britain's global legacy. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The seating plan revealed much about diplomatic etiquette. Trump was placed next to the Queen, an unmistakable gesture of honor, while Charles and Camilla hosted other dignitaries. In his toast, Trump praised the Queen's leadership and the eternal friendship between their nations. He invoked Winston Churchill, the Second World War, and the shared sacrifices of Britain and America. For all the grandeur, the subtext was impossible to ignore. Here was a president known for breaking norms seated beside a monarch who embodied tradition and stability. The moment was captured in thousands of photographs, two symbols of vastly different leadership styles sharing a table draped in royal gold. Awkward moments and subtle signals. Despite the polished stagecraft, not everything went smoothly. Royal watchers and body language experts dissected every frame of video. Did Trump walk in front of the Queen again, as he had during his 2018 visit? Was the Queen's faint smile genuine, or was it her classic poker face in action? One of the most discussed moments was Trump's meeting with Prince Charles and Camilla. While Charles engaged Trump in a long discussion about climate change, reports suggested Trump pushed back, steering the conversation elsewhere. Camilla, however, delighted the internet when she gave a cheeky wink to the cameras during one encounter, a gesture many interpreted as a subtle acknowledgement of the absurdity of it all. Then there was the exchange with Prince Harry, newly married to Meghan Markle. Markle, who had previously criticized Trump, notably skipped the official events, citing maternity leave after giving birth to Archie. Harry attended but kept a frosty distance, barely interacting with Trump. Observers read the silence as louder than any words. The London protests, a parallel stage. Outside the palaces and banquet halls, the streets told a different story. Tens of thousands gathered in London, waving banners and chanting slogans against Trump. The Trump baby blimp floated again, casting a satirical shadow over Westminster. Trump, never one to ignore criticism, dismissed the protests as fake news and claimed most Britons loved him. Yet the images of demonstrators filled global newspapers, a counterpoint to the glittering images inside Buckingham Palace. This duality, pageantry inside, protest outside, captured the contradictions of Trump's visit. He was both honored guest and unwanted intruder, celebrated with royal splendor while simultaneously rejected by swathes of the British public. Normandy commemorations, a shared sacrifice. The most poignant element of the trip was not the banquet or the protests, but the D-Day commemorations in Portsmouth and Normandy. Trump joined Queen Elizabeth, Prince Charles, and other world leaders to mark the 75th anniversary of the Allied landings. Here, the focus shifted from politics to history. Veterans, frail but proud, sat alongside heads of state. The Queen spoke of the bravery of those who fought. Trump, in a rare moment of solemnity, read excerpts from President Roosevelt's wartime prayer. This event underscored why this special relationship mattered. Britain and America had stood shoulder to shoulder in the face of tyranny. Whatever one thought of Trump personally, the symbolism of his presence at these commemorations carried weight. Style and optics, a battle of images. State visits are as much about optics as they are about politics. For the Trumps, every outfit, every gesture, every photograph was carefully curated. Melania's wardrobe drew praise for its nods to British tradition and homage to protocol while showcasing American elegance. But optics cut both ways. When Trump gave a press conference with then Prime Minister Theresa May, critics pounced on his domineering posture and blunt remarks. He praised Boris Johnson, May's political rival, in what many saw as a breach of diplomatic etiquette. It was yet another reminder that Trump, unlike other presidents, did not always play by the established rules of international diplomacy. The aftermath, legacy of a visit. So, what did the visit achieve? In tangible policy terms, little changed. The UK was still in the throes of Brexit, and a US-UK trade deal remained uncertain. Trump's praise for Johnson and criticism of May injected tension rather than clarity into political discussions. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. But in terms of spectacle, the visit succeeded. It reaffirmed the pomp of monarchy, provided endless material for media outlets, and cemented Trump's role as a disruptor on the world stage. For the royal family, it was another chapter in their centuries-long balancing act, extending hospitality without endorsing, maintaining neutrality while hosting leaders of every political stripe. Watch moments that define the visit. For those who lived it in real time, the visit was unforgettable. But for those revisiting today, a few video highlights capture the essence of the spectacle. The Guard of Honor inspection, Trump marching alongside Prince Charles, with cameras scrutinizing every step. The Buckingham Palace banquet, a sea of white gowns, glittering tiaras, and gold-plated decor. The Camilla wink, a blink-and-you'll-miss-it moment that became a viral sensation. The protests in London, the giant orange blimp floating defiantly above Parliament Square. D-Day commemorations, a solemn reminder of shared sacrifice amid political noise. A visit of contradictions. Ultimately, Donald Trump's 2019 state visit to the UK was a paradox. It was both deeply traditional and deeply disruptive. It showcased the stability of the monarchy while exposing the volatility of politics. It celebrated friendship while revealing fractures. For Trump, it was a chance to bask in regal splendor, to be photographed with the Queen, and to project strength back home. For the royals, it was another day of duty, hosting a man who stirred controversy but represented a nation Britain could not ignore. And for the world watching, it was a rare piece of political theater, equal parts ceremony, comedy, and history. Few visits have been dissected so thoroughly, and few are likely to be remembered with such a mix of fascination and disbelief. Conclusion. In the end, Trump's state visit was not just about diplomacy. It was about spectacle. It was about how power is performed, how tradition meets disruption, and how public opinion shapes perception. Looking back now, one can say with certainty, it wasn't just a state visit. It was a story. A story of tiaras and protests, winks and banquets, solemn prayers and inflatable blimps. A story in which every frame was a headline, every word a debate, every gesture a symbol. And whether you cheered or jeered, there's no denying that the 2019 state visit was one of the most memorable royal encounters of the modern era. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.